Then last class yesterday we saw about the endomembrane system, right? So after endomembrane system, as I had already told you all, there are going to be single organelles which are also very important for our cell to sustain and survive. And one of them, and the most important one of them rather, is going to be the mitochondria. For plants, it's going to be along with mitochondria, chloroplast as well, but we do not have chloroplast. So as an organelle, we'll be studying mitochondria also and chloroplast also, and few others. So let us start with it. Anyone having any doubts in endomembrane that we had done yesterday? किसी को कोई भी doubt है बेटा? If anyone has got any difficulties, please do let me know, because those are interconnected with each other, na? All the four organelles which are interconnected with each other. Well, if not, we go ahead with the next one. That's going to be mitochondria. So we all know about mitochondria. Mitochondria is going to be the powerhouse of our cell. It's going to be the storehouse of ATP. It is going to store the currency of energy. These all things now we have already known since our school days. So almost the same, nothing much more in that. Few important points which we have to note down. Mitochondria, single is known as mitochondrion, unless specifically stained, are not easily visible under the microscope. Now, this is the most important part, that for viewing the mitochondria, we just cannot stain them without staining, we cannot just observe them. And we cannot stain them with any XYZ type of a dye or a stain. There's a specific dye called as Janus green. You can see Janus green B is a basic dye which is going to be used for the staining purpose of mitochondria. So don't forget this word Janus green B. It has been asked several times that which is the dye which is used for staining mitochondria. Mitochondria are absent in prokaryotes. Yes, of course. Prokaryotes do not have any cell organelles. So it's going to be absent in prokaryotes. And they are secondarily lost in RBCs of mammals. That means even RBCs of mammals won't have mitochondria, but they'll be secondarily lost. Means as the RBCs are going to mature, as they become completely matured enough, old enough, then they lose their mitochondria. Okay, so this is the reason that we say they are secondarily lost. The number of mitochondria per cell is variable depending upon the physiological activity of the cell. So the cells which are actively involved in ATP synthesis, उनमें ये mitochondria का amount ज़्यादा रहेगा, and those who are not actively involved, उसमें कम रहेगा. So it depends on cell to cell what is the functional role of it in ATP synthesis. Accordingly, the number of mitochondria is going to vary. इसका मतलब ये तो पक्का है ना कि वन सेल वन माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया वाला फेनोमेना है नहीं यहाँ पर. वन सेल सेवरल माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया यहाँ पर बनेंगे. इसका मतलब क्या हो गया बेटा? वन सेल when it's going to contain many mitochondria, that signifies that mitochondria can divide on their own. है ना? वो अपने आप में मतलब सेल डिवीजन होने तक उनको रुकने की जरूरत नहीं है. Before that only they will undergo cell divisions, or rather they will undergo something called as fission, right? जैसा हमने binary fission, multiple fission देखा है, वैसे ही they are going to undergo fission. Of course, I have mentioned this later. In terms of shape and size also, there is going to be a considerable degree of variability that's observed. But typically, standard shape that has been observed of mitochondria is going to be generally a sausage shape. You can see this shape very clearly on your screen. ये देखिए, ये जो typical shape है ना, ये shape को हम कहते हैं sausage, right? Just like a sausage. So we call it as a sausage shape, or sometimes it could be cylindrical, having a dia of around 0.2 to 1 millimeters, and length is going to be around 1 to 4 millimeters, rather 4.1. So now in this diagram, what are the things that we have to focus? This diagram, we have to focus few important points, which I have mentioned on the next slide, but as a diagram, please focus over here. You can see that mitochondria is going to have two membranes. ये देखिए, ये है outer membrane, which is very clearly seen, right? So this is the outer membrane. It will have an inner membrane also. So it's made up of two membranes, outer and inner. Now this inner membrane is folded. You can see the folds very clearly, right? These are the folds of the inner membrane. These folds are going to be called as your cristae. What we call them as cristae. So look at the folds. We are calling these folds to be the cristae, right? Of course, we have already done the respiration chapter, so you know this is the intermembrane space or intermitochondrial space or perimitochondrial space or whatever. You see, intermembrane space where your H plus accumulation takes place during ETS. ये स्पेस में H plus जो है वो पूरा accumulate हो जाता है intermembrane space में. And of course, these black color का dots which are clearly seen are going to be your oxysomes. Oxysomes are also called as F1 particles or they are also called as ATP synthetase. है ना, ये हमने already किया हुआ है. So this is going to be a typical oxysome. And each oxysome is also going to be made up of three parts, जो मैंने आगे बताया हुआ है. But as of now, just remember that the cristae will have, like studs of this F1 particles. It will be studded onto it, right? Then one more point which is very crucial is that mitochondria has got its own DNA. See, ये इसका खुद का DNA है. खुद का DNA है मतलब क्या हो गया बेटा? It has got all the machinery for getting the signals of its own, है ना? तो cell division करने के लिए it does not have to depend on uh, any cell division to occur especially. Okay? Yeah, I'll tell you what is F0 and F1. Don't worry. Now, when I go to the next slide, you will come to know what is F0 and F1. बताती हूँ मैं बेटा. Okay. Now, just focus on this. This is going to have its own ribosomes also. So ribosomes है मतलब they can make their own proteins also. So don't you think this mitochondria on its own is going to act like one small organism? नहीं लग रहा है यूनिसेल्युलर ऑर्गेनिज्म के जैसा, जिसमें मैट्रिक्स है मतलब साइटोप्लाज्म है, जिसमें अपना खुद का डीएनए है ना, उसको अपना खुद का आरएनए है तो अपना खुद का प्रोटीन सिंथेसिस कर सकता है. So like it was believed earlier that mitochondria and chloroplasts were prokaryotic unicellular organisms which were engulfed by eukaryotic cells. ऐसे माना जाता था. It's just a sort of बोलने के लिए. So because it's going to have its own machinery. Okay. Yeah, for the signal, it doesn't depend on nucleus. Yes, but they don't depend on the signal for the nucleus. If the cell wants more of ATP, they will rapidly undergo fission, they will rapidly multiply, and they will start synthesizing more of ATP. Okay? Yes, so you're right. Okay, now see, if you look over here, then here you can see very clearly about the crista. That is what they are saying. Each mitochondrion is a double membrane bound structure. We saw just now. So even here you can see this is the outer membrane, this is the inner membrane, and this is the perimitochondrial space in between. Okay, the outer membrane, inner membrane which is folded, and this is the intermembrane space in between. Okay. Then the outer and inner membranes are going to divide its domain distinctly into two aqueous compartments. The outer compartment is the outer compartment and the inner compartment. The inner compartment will have a cytoplasm, which is nothing but we call it as a mitochondrial matrix, right? So this is going to be your mitochondrial matrix. Outer membrane is smooth. It forms a continuous limiting boundary of the organelle, while the inner membrane is going to form a number of enfoldings or invaginations called as the cristae towards the matrix. The cristae increase the surface area. So what is the role of the cristae? Why the cristae are going to be formed? The cristae are formed predominantly to increase the surface area, right? Now look at the structure of this oxysome. Can you see this oxysome? है ना? एक F1 particle जो है वो, so the F1 particle will have the head. You can see the head very clearly. This is the stalk जो यहाँ पर आपको दिखाई दे रहा है stalk, and this is the base. अब ये जो base है ना बेटा, ये base जो होता है, ये देखिए, ये partially embedded in the inner membrane है and partially it is protruding outwards, है ना? So प्लीज रिमेंबर जो F1 वाला रीजन है ये बाहर मतलब प्रोट्रूडिंग रीजन है, और F0 जो रीजन है या F0 जो हम बोलते हैं, इट्स नॉट एक्चुअली F0, वी जनरली कॉल इट एज F0. ओके, दैट F0 वाला रीजन जो है ना, इट्स गोइंग टू बी एम्बेडेड विद इन द इनर मेमोरी. So next slide also you'll come to know. This is the thing that I'm telling you. Head, stalk, or it's called as the pericell, and this is the base. Okay. Now, the inner membrane as well as the crista possesses small tennis racket-like particles called as the elementary particles, or they are called as the oxysomes. Each oxysome has a head, stalk, and base. The base, that is the F0 subunit, has a proton channel. We saw that the H plus was moving through that particular region, which is called as the proton channel. The oxysome contains ATPase, thus acts as a synthesis of ATP synthesis. Therefore, this is also called as your ATP synthetase करके हम इसको कहते हैं ना. ETS में हमने जो fifth वाला complex देखा था, right? Enzymes of electron transport system, that is what ETS, are located in the inner membrane, which are in contact with the elementary particles. You already know this. We have seen the entire ETS also. The matrix also possesses single circular DNA molecules, a few RNA molecules, as well as ribosomes. But look over here, please. This is something that you have to know. Ribosomes are going to be 70S type, while our cytoplasm is going to have 80S type of ribosomes. Okay, so this is 70S type. And the components required for the synthesis of proteins is also going to be available in the matrix. Mitochondria ribosomes are 70S and mitochondria divide by fission. Okay, so ये देखिए, ये जो बाहर वाला पार्ट है, दिस इज F1 पार्ट, और ये जो अंदर इनर मेम्ब्रेन से जो ये स्टॉक की तरफ आ रहा है ना, दिस इज योर F0 पार्ट. So F0 and F1 together make up your elementary particle. Your F stands for Fernandez. F1, F0 is Fernandez particle. It is, the name is given of course based on the scientist who discovered this. So F यहाँ पर stand करता है Fernandez particle. So sometimes, you know, in your examinations, they give this diagram and they ask you that which of the following is true or which of the following is correct with respect to the given diagram. So, you know, instead of oxysomes or instead of elementary particles or, you know, like ATP synthetase, they may even call this as Fernandez particle. And then you all are lost. So I don't want anyone to lose the marks over here. It should be known to you all. F stands for Fernandez over here. Okay? Functions, so we all know about the functions, but still, mitochondria are the sites of aerobic respiration, oxidative phosphorylation. They produce cellular energy in the form of ATP, hence they are called as the powerhouses. We also have seen that how ATP is formed in them. The end product of glycolysis is pyruvic acid, right or wrong? I hope all of you all remember this, that the end product of pyruvic acid is glycolysis. Naina, end product of glycolysis is pyruvic acid, yes, which will enter the mitochondria and of course via acetylation, and it will participate in the Krebs cycle and it will lead to the formation of energy. Mitochondria provides important intermediates for synthesis of biochemicals such as chlorophyll, cytochrome, alkaloids, etc. अब इसका मतलब क्या हो गया बेटा? जो अल्फा कीटोग्लूटरिक एसिड है, मैलिक एसिड है, फ्यूमेरिक एसिड है, सक्सिनाइल CoA है, these all are, even your citric acid जो है, these all are going to be, you know, raw materials for the synthesis of any of these particular, you know, important constituents of our cell. Many amino acids are synthesized in mitochondria. Example, glutamic acid, aspartic acid, which are synthesized from alpha KGA, and oxaloacetic acid also. So we already know that alpha KGA जो है, it is an organic acid which will act as an, you know, intermediate for amination. They'll accept the amino group and they'll get converted into glutamic acid. So these all things है ना, ये हमने already respiration chapter में देखा हुआ है. And OA, तो we know how the OAA is playing an important role. हमने shuttle system भी पूरे डिटेल में देख ली थी. So in that also OA is playing a very important role. So that's all with your mitochondria. Any doubts in mitochondria? Any confusion? Anyone who has not followed anything about it? Why are you confused between oxidative phosphorylation and glycolysis, my dear? Oxidative phosphorylation का मतलब होता है that when hydrogen will be removed and phosphorylation will take place. That is oxidative phosphorylation. And glycolysis is just breakdown of glucose into pyruvic acid. So oxidative phosphorylation is a process, an intermediate step which is associated with your aerobic respiration. Okay, so don't worry about this. So oxidative phosphorylation अपना जो ATP production है, that is phosphorylation. और ऑक्सीडेटिव मतलब NADH2 में से जो हाइड्रोजन निकल रहा है, that is oxidation. तो हाइड्रोजन निकालने के वजह से जो ATP formation हुआ, that will be called as oxidative phosphorylation. And glycolysis is how glucose is going to get converted into pyruvic acid. Okay, there are two very different, altogether different, prospects. उसमें confusion वाला कुछ है नहीं. Glycolysis of glucose to glucose 6-phosphate, glucose 6-phosphate to fructose 6-phosphate. You only had told me about it, है ना? So उसके लिए ही, हाँ, what is oxidative pentose phosphate pathway? It's called as your PPP pathway. It is also called as your Charles Dickens pathway. So it's nothing. It's just instead of 6 carbon compound, it's going to be your 5 carbon compound which is going to get oxidized. So it is not there in your syllabus. It was there in the earlier syllabus, which was called as your PPP pathway, pentose phosphate pathway. Need not worry much about it. It's not there in your syllabus, so there won't be any questions coming from there. Okay, because it's as simple as your this apna glycolysis. Okay, that is what in the exams, like in your test, your DATs and VATs, you might get the questions on it. It's very like important for us to start leaving the questions. Again, I tell you again and again, every exam will have 1 or 2 questions which you need not attempt, because आपको आदत नहीं है क्वेश्चन को छोड़ने की. आप, है ना, तुक्के मारने की आदत है तुम लोग को. तो वो आदत आप में से निकालनी है हमें 2 साल में. बिकॉज अगर ऐसा कोई क्वेश्चन आपके फाइनल एग्जाम में आ जाता है एंड यू अटेम्प्टेड, you will get a negative mark. So we don't want you all to go into negative marks. For that, every time I always say that there will always be 1 or 2 questions which will be completely out of syllabus. Okay, don't worry. जो PPP का क्वेश्चन था, बहुत सिंपल वाला क्वेश्चन है. अगर आपने आंसर देखा तो वो फैक्चुअल क्वेश्चन है. It's based on a fact. Fine. So don't worry much about these type of questions. Of course, they are there for giving you a practice. Fine. Well, so that's all with your mitochondria. Any doubts in mitochondria, or shall I move over to plastids? Can I move over to plastids? Okay. Plastids are found in all plant cells and also in euglenoids. Okay. And these are easily observed under the microscope as they are really large. They do not need any special stains like how we saw just now for mitochondria. There was a special stain called as Janus green. Plastids do not require these. They can be easily observed even under your normal microscopes. They bear some specific pigments, thus imparting specific colors to the plants. Yes. So we know plastid जो है, हमारे दिमाग में plastid means सिर्फ chloroplastid आ जाता है, right? But here it's not only chloroplast. There are many other colors that you can see. Can you see different colors? I mean, except green color, there are so many colors that you'll be seeing for flowers, fruits, है ना? So how get the color? So definitely there are going to be some, pigments associated with it. So वो जो plastids होते हैं उसमें different colors होते हैं, ना सिर्फ green color. So based on the type of pigments, the plastids can be classified as chloroplast, chromoplast and leucoplast. है ना? Chloro, chromo and leuco. The chloroplast, as we know, will contain chlorophyll, right? And carotenoid pigments, which are responsible for trapping the sunlight and converting them into chemical energy by the process of photosynthesis. In the chromoplast, fat soluble carotenoid pigments like carotene and xanthophylls are specifically going to be present. They give the plant yellow color, orange color, red color specifically. So these would be your chromo. Chromo का मतलब क्या होता है बेटा? What do you mean by chromo? Color. Okay. So the plastid which is going to contain a specific type of pigment that gives red color, yellow color or orange color. है ना? The leuco का मतलब है colorless. So the leucoplasts are the colorless plastids of various shapes and sizes with stored nutrients. So colorless का मतलब क्या हो गया? They are almost white in color. There is no specific color associated with it. Why does it not show any color? The leucoplasts are not going to show any colors because they are not going to have specific pigments. Rather, those plastids will be used as storehouses for storing starch, oils, and protein. So देखिए, depending upon what it is going to store, accordingly the leucoplasts are of three types. So the three types of leucoplasts are amyloplasts, which store carbohydrates or starch as we say, eleoplasts. Eleoplasts are the ones which are going to store oils and fats, and allureoplasts, which are going to store the protein. So example is the aileron cells of the maize grain, एंडोस्पर्म ऑफ द कैस्टर, ये जो सारे होते हैं ना, ये सारे एलरियोप्लास्ट में आ जाते हैं. सो अमाइलो फॉर स्टार्च, एलियो फॉर ऑयल, एलिरो फॉर प्रोटीन. मेजॉरिटी मेक अ ब्लंडर विद अमाइलो एंड एलिरो. तो हमारे सलाइवा में अमाइलेज होता है, बराबर है. What is present in our saliva? Amylase is present. So amylase is going to break down what? Amylase is going to break down starch, right? So accordingly, remember that amyloplasts will contain starch. Okay. Majority of the chloroplasts of the green plants are found in the mesophyll cells of the leaves. So we understood about the chromoplast and the leucoplast. Now we come to the last one, that is chloroplast. So of course, chloroplasts are predominantly found in the green parts of the plant, that is the mesophyll cells. The chloroplasts are lens-shaped, oval, spherical, discoid, ribbon-like, having various shapes and sizes. Their number, just like mitochondria, may also vary from 1 to many. Just like in case of a green algae called as Chlamydomonas, the number of chloroplasts present will be only 1. Okay, while the green plant cell will have around 20 to 40 mesophyll cells. Fine. So this is something that we have to understand. Now, please understand, I'm just trying to tell you all, how to visualize this chloroplast ka content. देखिए बेटा, what happens is, imagine a forest. Hmm? A forest will be densely packed with so many different type of trees. Zoom on only one tree. आपको focus सिर्फ एक tree पे करना है. Okay. Now that one tree will have thousands of leaves. Correct? Correct? From that thousands of leaves, focus on only one leaf. Fine. Now one leaf will have thousands of mesophyll cells. One leaf will have, जैसे हमारे बॉडी में epithelial cells होते हैं, cuboidal epithelium है, stratified है, we saw the cells in our own body, right? Animal tissues में. तो वैसे ही the cells of the plant leaf, उनका नाम क्या है? They'll be called as the mesophyll cells. So the mesophyll cells are going to be, more than 1,000 cells will be present per leaf. Are you all following what I'm trying to tell you? So first I told you all to imagine a forest made up of, few thousand trees. Focus on one tree. One tree will have few thousand leaves. Focus on one leaf. Each leaf will have around more than 1,000 mesophyll cells. Okay. Now each mesophyll cell is going to have around 20 to 40 chloroplasts present in them. Can you imagine the complexity? Okay, so per cell, per mesophyll cell is going to have around 20 to 40 chloroplasts present in them. Imagine कर पाए बेटा ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट वाला फेनोमेना है, क्योंकि ये समझा तो आगे वाला कंटेंट समझेगा. तो any confusion till now? So plastids are of three types: chromoplast, leucoplast, and chloroplast. Chromoplast, carotenoid pigments having xanthophyll and carotene. Okay, your of course they are going to give the yellow, orange, red color. Leucoplast is further divided into three: amylo, which stores starch; aleo, which stores oil; and alluro, which stores protein. And the last was your chloroplast. Each mesophyll cell will have around 20 to 40 chloroplast. ये जो statement है उसको मैंने justify करने की कोशिश की है. I hope you all are following what I'm saying, because this is really very important. Now, like mitochondria, the chloroplasts are also double membrane bound. So here in the diagram, you can very well see this is the outer membrane, this is the inner membrane. Now here the inner membrane is not folded. Okay, here the inner membrane is not folded, it is also entire. You can see the inner membrane is also entire, but they are double membrane bound structures. Of the two, the inner chloroplast is relatively less permeable. तो ये जो inner membrane है ना, ये थोड़ा चूजी ज्यादा है, ये सबको अंदर आने से मना कर रहा है. आउटर भी थोड़ा चूजी है, बट इनर वन इज मोर लाइक नाटक वाला. इट विल नॉट अलाउ फर्दर. जिसको आउटर मेम्ब्रेन ने एंट्री दिया है ना, उसमें से भी किसी किसी लोगों को ये अंदर आने से मना करेगा. कौन? इनर मेम्ब्रेन. So they say that the inner membrane is relatively less permeable. The space limited by the inner membrane of the chloroplast is called as stroma. The space limited by the inner membrane of mitochondria was called as matrix. The space limited by the inner membrane of chloroplast is going to be called as stroma. A number of organized flattened membranous sac-like structures called as thylakoids will be present in the stroma. You can very well see ये coins के जैसे जो एक रो में बिठाए हैं, देखे हम coins लगाते हैं ना, एक के ऊपर एक coin डालते हैं. देखो 5 rupees के coin का एक ऐसा tower बनाओगे तो it will look something like this way. So each of the coin will be called as one thylakoid, and a stack of thylakoids will be called as one granum. Okay, understand this. ये जो है ये gel like है. Stroma जो होता है ये gel like है. It is liquid portion and it will have these stacks of thylakoid present in them. One stack is equal to one granum. And ये किसके stacks है? ये stacks है thylakoid के. समझ में आ गई बात? So a number of organized flattened membranous sacs. Membranous sacs का मतलब क्या हो गया बेटा? Even the thylakoid is going to be covered by your cell membrane. तो देखो, look at the chloroplast very nicely. Mesophyll cell है. So mesophyll cell will have its own cell membrane. Lipid bilayer है. Lipid bilayer है. Okay. आदिति, आई थिंक बाय मिस्टेक आपका ना वीडियो ऑन हो गया है बेटा. आदिति, I think your video is on. Yeah, it's okay. And mine is not. Okay. Sell on mine. Okay. So what I'm trying to tell you all is here, what we have to, why this thing? What we have to understand over here is, in one, as I said, that in one particular forest, there are several trees. Focus on one tree. When we focus on one tree, we have to focus on, there are so many leaves. We have to focus on one leaf. When we focus on one leaf, there are so many mesophyll cells present in it. Now, each mesophyll cell will have a covering, right? Each mesophyll cell have a covering means it's going to have a cell membrane surrounded by the, like within the cell wall. The outermost cell wall है, उसके अंदर है cell membrane, बराबर खुद की cell की cell membrane. अब in this cell there would be 20 to 40 chloroplasts, है ना? So each chloroplast will have two cell membranes on it. It's a bilayer, na? So it will have outer membrane and it will have inner membrane. So देखो, look at it, cell membrane plus chloroplast के दो membranes, right? Plus the thylakoids which are going to be stacked. Each thylakoid will have its own cell membrane. So many, like membranes are going to be present inside it, right? Agreed? So that is what they are saying, that the thylakoids would be membranous sac-like structures present in the stroma. So stroma मैंने क्या बोला, is the liquid or the gel-like portion, which is going to be the inner, content of every chloroplast. Thylakoids are arranged in stacks like piles of coins, and each stack will be called as granum. Singular is granum, plural is grana. So on the screen, you can very well see there are so many grana present together. है ना? Right? Yeah, it's going to be one of the most important organelles. So it needs a lot of protection, of course. So now you understood how does it look like. क्लियर है अब देखो बेटा, ये बीच में आपको दो कनेक्ट करने वाले ऐसे लाइंस दिखाई दे रहे हैं, ये स्टैक को और ये स्टैक को, ये ऐसे ट्रांसवर्स सेक्शन ने ज्वाइन कर लिया है. वो जो ट्रांसवर्स वाला है, इट्स गोइंग टू बी कॉल्ड एज योर फ्रेट्स. वी कॉल इट एज फ्रेट मेम्ब्रेन्स और वी कॉल इट एज स्ट्रोमा लैमेले. Please understand, in your exams they will always give you grana lamellae and stroma lamellae as options. What you will feel, the connectors which connect the stacks of grana को connect कर रहे हैं ना, इसलिए majority students क्या blunder करते हैं, they'll mark it as grana lamellae. No, what are they? They are called as stroma lamellae. Why not grana lamellae? If they're connecting the grana, they should have been called as grana lamellae. Why are we calling it as stroma lamellae? We are calling it as stroma lamellae because that particular connector is suspended in stroma. Therefore, it is called as stroma lamellae. Then, is there nothing called as grana lamellae? Yes, there is something called as grana lamellae. Where are the grana lamellae going to be present? Grana lamellae are going to be present sandwiched between the two thylakoids. तो ये एक thylakoid है, ये एक thylakoid है, ये एक दूसरे से कनेक्ट होने चाहिए कि नहीं? इंटरनली ये एक दूसरे से कनेक्ट होने चाहिए कि नहीं? नहीं तो हाउ कैन दे हैव अ कोरिलेशन बिटवीन देम? सो ये जो दो स्टैक्स है थाइलाकॉइड्स के, इन दोनों के बीच में है ना ब्रिजेस है, कनेक्टर्स है, और ये जो कनेक्टर्स है which are going to be present between the two thylakoids is going to be called as your grana lamellae. So grana lamellae are present within the grana, while the stroma lamellae are going to be present in the stroma. So this thing that you can very clearly see over here is going to be your, here they have mentioned it as lamellae, but to be very specific, the name of this is going to be your stroma lamellae. ओके जैसे कि देखो ना, किसी का ड्यूप्लेक्स घर होता है, ड्यूप्लेक्स बंगलो होता है ना. अब ये जो ड्यूप्लेक्स बंगलो होता है, उनमें कैसा होता है, उनके एक अपने घर मतलब जो ग्राउंड फ्लोर पे है, वहां से एक सीढ़ी ऊपर जाती है which will internally connect the first floor. Agreed? That CD, which is going to internally connect the ground floor with the first floor, how it is going to be there, na? In the same way, the grana lamellae will be present within the two thylakoids. Okay? So don't get confused between the options grana lamellae and stroma lamellae. This is very important and crucial. Okay? Yeah, what's your beta? Many grana lamellae is no, 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 no. Many grana lamellae is not stroma lamellae. That the way I said just now. Suppose you're staying on the ground floor. Okay, you're staying in a building, of course. So you're staying on the ground floor, and there's someone who is staying on the first floor. Okay, now the first floor house is totally different of the other family. Your house is different from that family. You don't have any internal connections, right? But imagine that there's a duplex bungalow, ground floor plus first floor, which is owned by you. Okay, now what will happen? You have to continuously, like your study room is up, for example, then you need not open your door, go out into the corridor, then take a staircase from outside and reach your first floor. No, na. Then that is a neighbor's house. our own house. So we are going to have internal connection. So your grana will have एक thylakoid है, ये दूसरा thylakoid है. इन दोनों के बीच का जो connection है, that is going to be your grana. और आपके बाजू में और एक बंगलो है, आपके बाजू में और एक ड्यूप्लेक्स बंगलो है, ठीक है. अब वो ड्यूप्लेक्स बंगलो और आपका ड्यूप्लेक्स बंगलो एक दूसरे को कनेक्ट करने के लिए वहां पर एक ब्रिज डाला है या एक अच्छा रोड बनाया है, then that is going to be your stroma laminae. So stroma laminae will be present between two stacks of grana, and grana laminae will be present between that own grana ka stack, thylakoid ka stack. Okay, fine. Yeah, fine. So this is what is, like sometimes this is not understood correctly and you make a blunder. So I hope all of you all have got this very nicely. Okay. Yeah. Then here you can see even chloroplast has got its own DNA. ये देखो. You can see this very clearly. Even it has got its own ribosome. So don't you think even they can make their own proteins and then it not depend on the cell to divide? So mitochondria as well as chloroplast are called as semi-autonomous, self-replicating organelles. Okay, semi-autonomous, self-replicating. They can replicate on their own. They did not wait for the cell to divide. So diagram में I hope there is no गड़बड़, because if you understand this content, तो अपना photosynthesis chapter जो आगे हम देखने वाले हैं, it will be very easy for you to understand. Entire photosynthesis chapter is based on this basic structure of your chloroplast. So I hope you all have followed the structure details. Okay, yeah. Now see, in addition, there are flat membranous tubules called as the stroma lamellae, which are going to connect the thylakoids of different grana, which I just now explained. The membrane of the thylakoid encloses a space called as lumen. तो ये जो thylakoid है, ये thylakoid was nothing but that coin. One single coin was one thylakoid. उसके ऊपर भी क्या है? Cell membrane है. So even that thylakoid will have a space, and that space will be called as lumen. Okay. Thylakoid membrane possesses photosynthetic pigments. That is the most important point, that actual photosynthesis will take place not only in the chloroplast, but will be taking place in the thylakoid का chloroplast. तो chloroplast के अंदर जो thylakoid है, उसमें actually photosynthesis, मतलब photosynthesis in the sense sunlight trap होने वाला है. Okay. The stroma of the chloroplast, on the other hand, will contain enzymes for the synthesis of carbohydrates and proteins. So, ये जो अपना photosynthesis है, we say it is going to be taking place in chloroplast. Agreed. But this photosynthesis is divided into two parts: light dependent reactions and light independent reactions. Light dependent reactions means what? When the sunlight will be available, that sunlight has to be captured. Okay, so capturing of sunlight will depend on the availability of the sunlight. So that particular thing, that reaction of capturing the sunlight will be taking place in the thylakoid. Fine. But the actual synthesis of glucose, the actual formation of the sugars के लिए whatever enzymes are required would not be present in the thylakoid. Rather, it would be present in the stroma. So ultimately, the sugars will not be formed inside the thylakoid or the grana, but the sugar will be formed in the stroma. Okay, so both are interdependent. जब तक light absorption नहीं हो पाता है, तब तक enzymes किस काम के? बराबर है. और अगर सिर्फ लाइट एब्जॉर्ब करके रख दिया लेकिन एंजाइम्स ही नहीं है, तो फिर वो लाइट ट्रैप किया हुआ किस काम का? राइट. सो द लाइट रिएक्शंस प्लस डार्क रिएक्शंस इज इक्वल टू photosynthesis. So both are required. The grana is also equally important as the stroma and vice versa. Got it? So that is what they are saying, that stroma of the chloroplast will contain enzymes that are required for the synthesis of carbohydrates, that's nothing but your glucose, and proteins, of course. It also contains small double-stranded circular DNA and ribosomes. Now here, now there's one word which is missing. Kindly note down this word. The double-stranded circular DNA of chloroplast is called as, just write down, the double-stranded circular DNA of chloroplast is called as plastidome. Plasti, Plasti, plastidome, DOME. So, if they ask you in your exams what is plastidome, please don't get confused. It is nothing. It is the DNA of chloroplast. Okay? So, chloroplast का DNA है, इसलिए उसको कहते हैं plastidome. Have you all noted this down? Plastidome, it's important word. Okay. The ribosomes of the chloroplast are also going to be small. That is going to be 70S type, and the cytoplasmic ribosomes are going to be 80S type. So the chloroplast also will have the ribosomes which will be 70S. That was the reason I said that mitochondria and plastids were thought to be, unicellular prokaryotic organisms which were engulfed by, eaten away by the eukaryotic cell. ऐसे माना जाता था. You want me to repeat the spelling, beta? Yeah, it is Plastidome. I'll put it in the chat box. I'll put it in the chat box. Yeah, wait. I'll put it in the chat box for all of you all. Okay, 1 minute. See, I've put it in the chat box. You can open your chat boxes and you can check. It's plastidome. Well, so that's about your structure of chloroplast. I hope you all have understood what is chloroplast and mitochondria. Is there any difficulty in understanding this? Anyone having any doubts? Then I move on to the third organelle in line, which is going to be called as the ribosomes. So since the beginning, we are saying ribosome. हमने prokaryotic ribosomes के बारे में भी कुछ पढ़ा था. Now we are talking about the eukaryotic ribosomes. In eukaryotic also we are getting confused कि अरे eukaryotic cells have got ATS. Now how the prokaryotic cells will be, how the prokaryotic 70S will be present in eukaryotic cell. So ये जो confusion है ना उसको खत्म करते हैं. That is how this is going to be. Fine. So we saw that in eukaryotic cells, the cytoplasm of these cells will have ATS, but the organelles, that is the mitochondria and the chloroplast, which are a part of your eukaryotic cytoplasm, will contain 70S. So let us understand how it is actually going to be. What exactly are ribosomes? Let us understand them. So ribosomes are also called as the Palade particles. Remember this? Palade particles is the name again given in the honor of the scientist who had found out ribosomes for the first time. Ribosomes are granular structures first observed under the electron microscope as dense particles by George Palade. So George Palade in the year 1953 for the first time observed these ribosomes under electron microscopes. Okay, they are composed of, why he found them to be granular. उन्हें किसके ग्रैन्यूल्स है, ये राइबोसोम में किसके ग्रैन्यूल्स है करके उसने देखने की कोशिश की थी. So what he found out? He found out that these ribosomes are made up of RNA, that is of course your ribonucleic acid, and proteins, but they are not surrounded by the cell membrane. So no cell membrane is going to be present on it, and therefore we don't, it's going to be common between your prokaryotes and eukaryotes, because prokaryotes lack membrane-bound organelles is what we have seen. So because ribosomes do not have any cell membrane over it, they are going to be present in pro as well as eukaryotic cells. Okay. Now, what exactly is it made up of? It's made up of RNA and proteins. दो ही चीजें हैं उसमें, एक है RNA, एक है protein. Each eukaryotic ribosome is going to be of 80S type, while each prokaryotic ribosome is going to be of the 70S type. The most important definition of S. Here, S stands for sedimentation coefficient. It is indirectly a measure of the density and size of the particle. So, ये जो S है ना, ये S. What is that S? Sedimentation coefficient. And what does it signify? उसका मतलब क्या होता है? 70s, 80s, 30s, 40s, 60s, 50s. What is this S? It's going to be giving us the density and size की पूरी कहानी बताता है वो. Okay? So both 70s and 80s ribosomes are going to be composed of two units. Two subunits are held together by Mg++, which forms an ionic bond between the phosphate group of rRNA of the two subunits. rRNA, so RNA is of three types: rRNA, mRNA, tRNA, which I had explained earlier also. So ये जो rRNA है, it is a part of the ribosome. Therefore, it's called as your ribosomal RNA or rRNA. Okay. Minimum Mg+2 concentration is required for structural formation of ribosomes. If the Mg+2 concentration increases 10 times, then the ribosomes will form dimers, which is not going to be any productive structures. Dimers का मतलब कैसे होता है पता है? कि एक आपने डॉल देखी है वो राइबोसोम की, वन सब यूनिट एंड लार्जर सब यूनिट, वो जो डॉल होती है वो आपने देखी है ना? अब डाइमर में क्या होता है? वन डॉल एंड अनदर डॉल हेड टू हेड कनेक्टेड, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज अ डाइमर. समझा? गॉट इट? सो बिकॉज ऑफ दैट व्हाट विल हैपन ना, प्रोटीन सिंथेसिस होना इम्पॉसिबल हो जाता है. सो मिनिमम कॉन्सेंट्रेशन ऑफ Mg+2 होगा तो ही नॉर्मल प्रोटीन सिंथेसिस होगा. इफ द Mg+2 concentration increases beyond that threshold, then they'll form dimers, and once they form dimers they are of no use. Okay, so ATS plus ATS अगर दो साथ में आते हैं ना तो it will make 120S, and we require ATS only. So if they become 120S, it's of no use. Similarly, if 70S 70S will come together, they will make 100S. So we want 70S for prokaryotes. So if it becomes 80S, it's 100S, it's of no use, like that way. What is the chemical composition of ribosome? Now this content not given in your books and every time asked in your exams like NEET also, exams like KVPY also, and exams like your Olympiads also. Okay, so ये जो generally ये जो content है ना, ये favorite content है examiners का to make questions. So please study this slide very carefully. Very carefully. Look at it. Chemical composition of ribosomes. The 70S type of ribosome will have 60% rRNA and 40% protein. The 80S ribosome will have 40% rRNA and 60% protein. So exactly उल्टा है ना? ये प्लीज याद रखिएगा बेटा कि प्रोकैरियोट्स में rRNA ज्यादा है और लिपिड्स कम है. यूकैरियोटिक सेल्स में rRNA कम है और प्रोटीन ज्यादा है. ठीक है, तो एक में प्रोटीन ज्यादा, एक में rRNA ज्यादा. So just remember who is where. The 50S composition जो होता है 50S subunit, the larger subunit of the prokaryotes. Okay, that's going to be your 50S subunit. The 50S subunit will have in totality 34 proteins. So we saw that the subunits are going to have only two things. What are the two things that the subunits will have? The proteins and the rRNA. So how many proteins would be present in this 50S? So in the 50S, there would be 34 proteins. Okay. On the other hand, the smaller subunit, that is the 30th subunit, will have only 21 proteins. So 34 plus 21. Okay, 34 plus 21. In totality, this 70S will contain 55 proteins. Is it okay? समझ में आ रही है बात कि नहीं? समझी? तो आपने एक डॉल बनाई, एक ऊपर वाला 8 का फिगर बनाया आपने, 8 का फिगर, ऊपर वाला छोटा बनाया, नीचे वाला बड़ा बनाया, इससे मैं डॉल बोल रही हूँ उसको, है ना? ऊपर वाला जो छोटा है that is 70S will that is 30S will have 21 proteins. नीचे वाला जो बड़ा है it will have 34 proteins. So 21 plus 34 is equal to 55 proteins. इधर तक समझा? What happens for eukaryotic cell? In eukaryotic cell will have 60S as the largest subunit, which will have 45 proteins. and we'll have 40S, which will be the smaller subunit, and that smaller subunit will have 33 proteins. तो देखो कितना confusion है ना? 34, 21, 45, 33. ओके, इसलिए ये एरिया में बहुत ज्यादा क्वेश्चंस बनाने को चांस मिलता है एग्जामिनर्स को. So we have to be well versed with this. Total proteins in ATS will be 45 plus 33, that is equal to 78 proteins. ठीक है, अब मैं इसको थोड़ा सा सिंप्लीफाई करके आपको डायग्राम के हिसाब से I'll try to show you all along with the diagram. Let's start with the very simple format of understanding this. I'll show you. Yeah. Now let us draw and let us understand that. ये देखो. So see, here I'm making one circle, okay, and here I'm making one more circle. अब इन दोनों को मुझे join कैसे करना है? ओके, तो ये अपना से फॉर एग्जांपल ये अपना प्रोकैरियोटिक वाला है. अब दूसरा बना रही हूँ मैं यूकैरियोट्स के लिए. कलर में थोड़ा चेंज कर देती हूँ so that you will not have any difficulty in understanding. Now this I am making for eukaryotic. Okay, so eukaryotic थोड़ा और बड़ा होता है. कौन से साइड लेके जाऊँ? इसी साइड. ये थोड़ा और बड़ा होता है इससे. ये 30S है ना, ये 40S है, इसलिए बड़ा कर दिया. और ये जो गोला है ये भी बड़ा करना पड़ेगा मुझे. So see this, I'm making like this way. So now you got to know ये दो dolls अपनी ready है. These two dolls ready. Okay. Now I just mentioned over here about this proteins, 21 proteins. Agreed? Agreed? Okay. Now here I talk about this one. This is going to be your 50S. How many proteins in 50S? We all 34 proteins. Agreed? ये इसकी कहानी हो गई. Now we'll come here. What is this? This is 50S. Remember? 40S. And how many over here? इसमें कितने हैं? ये है अपना 60S. इसमें कितने हैं बच्चा? Do you remember? Yes. इधर तक समझ में आ गई बात? So this is your prokaryotic ribosome. This is your eukaryotic ribosome. The prokaryotic is going to have 30S and 50S, and the eukaryotic is going to have 40S and 60S. So 30S will have 21 proteins, 50S will have 34 proteins, 40S will have 33 proteins, and 60S will have 45 proteins. If possible, please draw this diagram so वो जो confusion है ना वो forever हट जाएगा बेटा, क्योंकि इसके आगे मुझे और भी कुछ डिटेलिंग करनी है. इसीलिए ये डायग्राम फटाफट बना लो. चलो स्टार्ट मेकिंग. डॉल्स बनाओ दो. साइजेस में थोड़ा सा ध्यान रखिएगा, साइज मैटर्स. Got it? Done? Okay. Now we understood that these are the proteins. What was the second component that is going to be a part of your ribosomes? Apart from proteins, what is the other component that will be present? Can anyone answer this? Can anyone answer this? Very good. Yes, perfect. It will have rRNA. So rRNA का भी कोई size होना चाहिए. So I'll show you over here. rRNA, it will have the smaller subunit of your prokaryotes will have 16S rRNA. कौन सा है बेटा इसमें? 16S rRNA होता है. और इधर कौन सा होता है? लार्जर सब यूनिट में कौन सा होता है पता है आपको? इट्स गोइंग टू हैव 23S rRNA. So 16S and 23S. ये समझ में आ गया बेटा? Perfect. No problem. Understood? So here, if I now show the previous one, now I will come to that again, so that हम वो भी देख सकते हैं. देखो, for example, we saw this 55 and 78 ये वाला देखा. Now look at this. Now look at this. I was talking about the 30S. ये देखो. The 30S will have 16S and the 50S will have 23S. Along with that, you can see it is also going to have 5S. Fine. Look at the 60S. 60S is going to have 5.8, 5 and 28, while 40 will have 18. तो इसी को अब मैं डायग्राम में डाल रही हूँ so that you don't get confused. आपका confusion हटाने के साथ मैंने वो diagram, but we wrote over here about 23S, and then I'm going to write about here that is going to be your 5S also. So now you know that it is having 23S plus 5S. तो ये इसका composition खत्म हो गया. Look at the 40S. What it will have? Just now we saw. Do you remember? It's going to have 18S rRNA in the smaller subunit, and it is going to have 5S, 5S rRNA, then 5.8S rRNA, and it's going to have 28S. समझ में आ गई बात? तो अगर आपने ऐसे गोले बनाए हैं तो अभी आपको याद करना बिल्कुल इजी हो जाएगा. Look at this. Now I'll label this. What is this? This is your 70S ribosome. And what is this? This is your 80S ribosome. So now it's very clear. 70S will have 30S and 50S. 30S will have 21 proteins and 16S rRNA. 50S will have 34 proteins, 23S and 5S rRNA. 40S will have 33 proteins and 18S rRNA. 60S will have 45 proteins, 5S, 5.8S and 28S rRNA. तो ये अगर आपने डायग्राम बनाया तो आपको वो कंटेंट याद रखने की जरूरत नहीं है. The diagram will give you the complete details about whatever we wanted to say. Okay? Yeah, beta. Yeah. You're right, Komal. 70S is for the prokaryote and 80S is for the eukaryotes. But our mitochondria will have this 70S. Well, got it? This is going to be our 70S. This is going to be our 80S. Any confusion? Any doubts in this? तो वो लाइन टू लाइन रीड करने में कितना कंफ्यूजन हो रहा था ना. ये शॉर्टकट इजी है कि नहीं? Just dolls banao and write down the composition. That's done. Have you all done this? Can I clear these drawings for all of you all? Any confusion? Any doubts? So what does the S stand over here? S stands for sedimentation coefficient. What does that signify? It signifies the density and size of your ribosomal subunit. ठीक है? Can I clear it? Yes or no? सबका हुआ है कि नहीं? Okay, thank you so much. So here we go back to our slideshow of content. Now see. So now the same thing again. Quickly I'm revising. 50S 34 proteins. उसमें 30S 21 proteins. 60S 45 proteins, 40S 33 proteins, 60S 28 5.8 and 5, 40S 18, 50S 23S 5S, 30S 16S. तो ये इतना कंफ्यूजन लगता है, इतना कंफ्यूजन लगता है इसमें, तो बेटर क्या है, डॉल्स बनाओ, याद कर लो. फाइन. Proteins and ribosomes are negatively charged. Yeah, that is the reason they get attracted to the positive side chain. Okay. Kasperson and Schultz, Brown and Jordan found that rRNA is synthesized in the nucleolus, which is termed as the ribosome factory. So please remember, protein factory is a ribosome, and ribosome factory is nucleolus. Be careful again over here. आप फैक्ट्री नाम देखते ही राइबोसोम लिख के मार्क करके आ जाते हो. They are asking you what is the ribosome factory, where the ribosomes are going to be manufactured. So the ribosomes are going to be manufactured inside the nucleolus. ठीक है? Okay. Ribosomes may occur as linear or rosette or helical groups called as the polyribosomes or polysomes. So if one mRNA is going to have many ribosomes attached to it, we call that particular structure as polyribosome or polysome. Fine. Different ribosomes of a polysome are connected with the mRNA strand. So that's what I'm saying. If this is going to be the mRNA strand, mRNA is always linear, okay? और ये mRNA पे अगर बहुत सारे ribosomes एक साथ चिपके हुए हैं, तो उसको हम कहते हैं polyribosome. जैसे कि you might have seen those who are, like those who love photography and all, especially the photographic lenses will always capture such movements. कि कैसे मूवमेंट्स होते हैं वो, कि एक ऐसा वायर जा रहा है और उसके ऊपर बहुत सारे पैरट्स या स्पैरोज या इवन क्रोज बैठे हुए हैं. देखा आपने ऐसा वाला कभी सीन? बहुत बार फोटोग्राफर्स ऐसे फोटो ले लेते हैं, तो एक वायर के ऊपर बहुत सारे बर्ड्स बैठे हैं साथ में. वैसे ही एक mRNA के ऊपर बहुत सारे राइबोसोम्स अगर साथ में बैठे हैं, टाइम वी कॉल देम एज पॉलीसोम्स या फिर पॉलीराइबोसोम्स. Fine. Okay. Yeah. So they appear perfectly like, in one row. Correct. Yeah. You're right. Raindrops when they fall, on that window pane ऐसे एक line में बैठे हुए दिखाई देते हैं. Perfect. So they are going to be called as polysomes. Don't forget this one. Different ribosomes of polysomes are connected with the mRNA. Yes. Cytoplasmic ribosomes may remain free, or they may remain attached to the endoplasmic reticulum via the larger or the 60S subunit, in our case, eukaryotes, of course. Ribosomes are the sites for protein synthesis. They contain rRNA for providing attachment sites to mRNA and tRNA. So ये जो rRNA होता है, that will react with the mRNA and tRNA. Next year, when we'll be doing molecular genetics, in that there is a process called as transcription and translation. We have to understand for protein synthesis. That time you will come to know more in details about these. Newly synthesized polypeptides are protected from cytoplasmic enzymes because they are going to be left in the groove of the larger subunit of ribosome till they attain a secondary structure. Please understand this. ये जो हमने राइबोसोम्स देखे हैं, ये राइबोसोम हमने सिर्फ गोले बनाए हैं, तो आउटसाइड वो गोला ही है, but internally they'll be having a groove. You understand what's a groove? A depression. Okay, so the newly formed polypeptide chain, proteins are made up of what? Polypeptides. So those polypeptide chains which are newly formed, they may get digested by the enzymes of our cytoplasm. पॉलीपेप्टाइड्स आर गोइंग टू बी, ऊपर से ऐसा राइबोसोम है और ये इसका ग्रुप है ना, तो यहाँ पर जब वो पॉलीपेप्टाइड आ जाते हैं, they'll be protected and they are going to be like then they will undergo foldings to form the secondary structure. Once they become secondary, now stable, now the proteins become stable. The primary structures are very fragile, they'll get easily damaged and digested, but once they get the secondary structure, now they are stable. So till they attain the secondary structure, they require protection, and this protection will be provided by the groove of the ribosome. तो ये जो राइबोसोम होता है उसमें ऐसे लंबे लंबे ग्रूव्स होते हैं. समझ में आ गई बात? So this is how the ribosome actually looks like and helps in protein synthesis, right? Okay, that's all with your ribosomes. Any difficulty in understanding ribosomes? Anyone who did not follow ribosomes? Followed? Well. So next we go ahead with spherosomes. Now what are spherosomes? Hensel for the first time observed the spherosomes under the electron microscopes again. Spherosomes are covered with single layer of unit membrane. Now please understand what is the meaning of this single layer of unit membrane. Okay, single layer means only one layer of your cell membrane. Okay, that has a monolayer of phospholipids, means it's not a bilayer, इसलिए उसको single layer बोला जाता है. What we saw when we studied the fluid mosaic model, what did we see? We saw that this was the phosphate head, नीचे was the lipid tail. This was the phosphate head, ऊपर was the lipid tail. बराबर है? And they were coming together like this way. So either be phosphate heads were there, either be phosphate heads were there. That is called as your bilayer. But when we say a unit membrane of a single layer, that means what? Like this. उसको हम half unit membrane कहते हैं. Means these are going to be your phosphates, and the tails will be directly into its cytoplasm. Okay, so they won't have this bilayer. Lipid bilayer नहीं है, ये monolayer है. So spherosomes की ये speciality होती है बेटा, that the spherosomes will be having half unit membrane. That is what we say. That is, it's going to have only single layer of phosphate head and lipid tail, right? They'll be having hydrophilic heads towards the cytoplasm and hydrophobic tails towards the inner side. That is the inner lumen side, as we call it. It occurs only in plant cells. Yes, spherosomes are specifically associated with plant cells, and they are the major sites of lipid storage. तो ये जो ग्राउंडनट ऑयल, कैस्टर ऑयल, सनफ्लावर ऑयल, सैफफ्लावर ऑयल, क्या राइस ब्रान ऑयल, और क्या होते हैं, कितने सारे हैं, है ना? ये ऑयल ऑयल जितने भी ऑयल्स है ना बच्चा, व्हाट आर दोज आर नथिंग but those are the spherosomes which will contain these oil molecules stored. So these oils that we extract and that we eat or we use for cooking, those oils are predominantly going to be embedded inside these structures called as spherosomes. So spherosomes will have lipid storage, fat storage, oil storage. See, so they'll store the lipids in them, and they're going to have so they are going to store the lipid, and synthesis have lysosome like activity, so they are also called as your plant lysosomes. So when we have studied lysosomes and vacuoles, do you remember, especially vacuoles we have studied last time? So that time we have seen that some of the vacuoles will act like lysosomes. That is what we have seen. So these are the same ones, those which are going to have lysosome like activity, therefore they are called as your plant lysosomes. Fine. So spherosomes की तीन चीजें याद रखनी है बेटा. पहली चीज, half unit membrane है, that is single monolayer है. Second, it is going to store the fats, and third, it is going to be only and only present in plants. Spherosomes are not present in animal cells. Is it fine? Have you all understood what is a spherosome? That's all for spherosome. उसमें कुछ ज्यादा डिटेलिंग है नहीं. Any confusion in spherosomes? No? Good. Then we come to something called as microbodies. Micro, small, bodies, structures, right? So many membrane-bound minute vesicles. Yeah. Just like sunflower oil. So even the sunflower is going to contain these spherosomes, which will be having fat stored in them, oil stored in them. Correct. Sunflower, safflower, sesame oil, तिल का तेल जो हम बोलते हैं, है ना? सरसों का oil. Everything is going to be, because they are going to have a lot of spherosomes in them. Okay. Yeah. Then we come to microbodies. Many membrane bound minute vesicles called as microbodies will contain various enzymes. These are present in animal cells also and in plant cells also. Single unit membrane bound, it is not half unit, it is single unit, matlab normal bilayer. Okay, they are spherical structures, and on the basis of functions, the microbodies have been classified into two forms. First are called as peroxisomes, second are called as glyoxysomes. My request to all of you all, my humble request to all of you all, please try to understand what is peroxisomes, because peroxisomes are going to be very important organelles, especially when we'll be studying photosynthesis. So photosynthesis जब मैं पढ़ाऊंगी तब I'll ask you all about peroxisomes. I won't explain about peroxisomes. That time I'll expect you all to give me the answers for peroxisomes. So please understand peroxisomes very nicely. Okay, let's see what is peroxisome, one of the microbodies that we're going to talk about. Peroxisomes. In animal cells, peroxisomes are concerned with peroxide metabolism. हाइड्रोजन पेरोक्साइड का मेटाबॉलिज्म पेरोक्सिसोम्स में होता है. यूरेट ऑक्सीडेज, amino acid oxidase, and peroxidase, they catalyze the oxidation of amino acids producing H2O2. H2O2 is hydrogen peroxide. So urate oxidase, amino acid oxidase and peroxidase, ये जो तीन एंजाइम्स होते हैं ना, ये क्या करते हैं, ये अमीनो एसिड को ऑक्सीडेशन कराकर एज अ बाय प्रोडक्ट हाइड्रोजन पेरोक्साइड रिलीज करते हैं. प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड दिस, प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड दिस. Okay, so hydrogen peroxide is going to be one of the byproducts of this oxidation of amino acids. Now our cells will have abundance of amino acids because we constantly consume proteins. तो हमारे सेल्स में अमीनो एसिड्स की जनरली कमी नहीं होती है. तो ऑक्सीडेशन ऑफ अमीनो एसिड्स इज अ नॉर्मल phenomena that will be carried out. Now during this oxidation, okay, by these three specific enzymes, क्या होता है, हाइड्रोजन पेरोक्साइड बन जाता है. नाउ दिस हाइड्रोजन पेरोक्साइड इज हाईली टॉक्सिक. हाइड्रोजन पेरोक्साइड इज हाईली टॉक्सिक. अगर ये सेल्स में एक्यूमुलेट होने लगा तो गड़बड़. Okay, so this hydrogen peroxide has to immediately be converted into a non-toxic or less toxic form. ठीक है, ये याद रखिए जो एंड में मैंने बताया है. ये तो एनिमल सेल में हाइड्रोजन पेरोक्साइड क्यों बनता है बेटा? How does hydrogen peroxide is going to be formed? By the oxidation of amino acids by urate oxidase, pyruvate oxidase, amino oxidase या peroxide oxidase. Okay, peroxide से H2O2 बनता है. Now the peroxisome has to convert this hydrogen peroxide into a non-toxic form. So what happens? See, the peroxidase will also contain another enzyme called as catalase, and this catalase will chop off the hydrogen peroxide into water and oxygen. Now, water and oxygen always required by our cells, कोई problem नहीं है. So what chopped off to what have got two enzymes. One is peroxidase, other is one is oxidase, one is catalase. So immediately catalase will come into action on hydrogen peroxides of green tissues and are concerned with photorespiration. That is called as your glycolate pathway or C pathway, which I'll be teaching you very soon. They are also involved in oxidation of fatty acids. Now, photo means what, beta? Photo का मतलब है light. Respiration, giving out of CO2 and taking in oxygen. That is what we know about respiration word. So during the daytime, when the plants, instead of undergoing photosynthesis, actively involved in respiration, then that is called as photorespiration. So during photorespiration, the peroxisomes are very vital role that I'll talk about when I teach you into peroxisomes. Now, what are the xenobiotics? Xenobiotics are the byproducts of certain drugs. तो हम जो मेडिसिन खाते हैं उसके कभी कभी टॉक्सिन्स रिलीज हो जाते हैं. These toxins are sometimes so harmful na that they cannot be taken care by your liver cells. So in that case, your peroxisomes come into action and they take care of that toxin. Fine. सो पेरोक्सिसोम्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, इसलिए मैंने बोला हमारे सेल में भी इंपॉर्टेंट है और प्लांट सेल्स में भी इंपॉर्टेंट है. Got it? So what are the two enzymes that are going to be present in the peroxisomes? The peroxisomes will oxidate and catalyze. ठीक है? Now it's better to define now. Am I audible? Yeah, am I audible now? Or is my voice still lagging?
Your voice is breaking.
My voice is breaking. It's still lagging. I'll check. Okay. Let's see now. Is it fine now? Is it better now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, let's see. Sometimes these net issues na kabhi kabhi.
Ma'am, lot of peroxisomes also lot was left when your voice started lagging.
Yeah, what? When the voice started lagging?
In the last slide only voice started lagging a lot before like.
Okay, okay, fine. I'll just try to keep my video off then, so that bandwidth thoda kam
Yes,
lagega.
ma'am, please.
Yeah, which you want me to explain last 2 points, bacha? These two in plants peroxisome wala. Okay, fine.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Yeah. So what happens? See, in plants, what happens in plants? There is going to be the peroxisomes which are going to be present in the green tissue. That's going to be in the green cells specifically, and they are associated with photorespiration. Now, what do you mean by the word photorespiration? Photo means light, and respiration means taking in of CO2 and giving out of taking in of oxygen and giving out of CO2. So normal case में क्या होना चाहिए बेटा? During the sunlight, whenever it is going to be available, उल्टा होना चाहिए ना? क्या होना चाहिए? CO2 should be taken in and oxygen should be given out. But during the daytime, if there is going to be active photorespiration taking place, then like the photosynthesis का yield कम हो जाएगा. तो ये कहाँ होता है? Where does this take place? This photorespiration is going to have three organelles associated with it. One will be your mitochondria, second one will be the peroxisome, and third will be your chloroplast. So peroxisome is one of the important organelles, which is one of the organelles of photorespiration. So when I'll teach you all photorespiration, that time remember that peroxisome is a part of photorespiration, and peroxisome will always contain either oxidase or catalase inside it. Okay, oxidase and catalase inside it. So catalase will degrade the hydrogen peroxide into water and oxygen. The last point is unusual substances or xenobiotics. That is sometimes, some medicines, or sometimes we eat something very oddly that will cause certain toxin production in our body. So these toxins, they cannot be metabolized by normal enzymes. And to break down them, you require these peroxisomes. So peroxisomes are also going to be actively taking care of the xenobiotics. Don't forget the word xenobiotics. This has been asked again many times in your exams. So peroxisomes are very important for human cell, I mean animal cell as well as plant cell. Fine. So one of the microbodies was peroxisome. The other microbody is going to be your glyoxysome. So let us understand the glyoxysomes now. Glyoxysomes will occur only in plants, especially in fatty seeds. So your oil seeds. Fatty seeds means which one, beta? Your oil seeds. So these oil seeds में ये generally glyoxysomes होते हैं. They'll be also present in the guard cells of stomata and in unripe fruits. The glyoxysomes help in the conversion of fats into carbohydrates. So देखो, spherosomes were storing oils and glyoxysomes will break down the oils into carbs. So glyoxysomes are going to help in the breakdown of fats into carbohydrates. Glyoxylic acid cycle takes place inside the glyoxysome, which was discovered. Again, see, these are the different cycles which have been found out. This was again discovered by Krebs and Korenberg, and it's a variant of Krebs cycle. So it's, like I told you in that day's class only when I taught you amphibolic pathway, that fatty acid metabolism is not a part of our syllabus in 11th and 12th. It will be taught to you all in the first year of MBBS. So those who are heading forward, they'll have this glyoxylic acid cycle in their syllabus. But as of now, just remember, spherosomes are associated with storage of fats and glyoxysomes are associated with breakdown of fats. That's it. Okay. So we completed with spherosomes also and the microbodies, that is peroxisome and glyoxysomes also. Anyone who is having any difficulty in understanding mitochondria, chloroplast, ribosome, spherosome, peroxisome, glyoxysome. The six things since morning that we have started and completed. Anyone having any difficulty, any doubts? No one? Everything understood? Great. Then we go to the next one. Okay. The next one is going to be called as your cytoskeleton. So just the way we have got our skeleton made up of bones, uh, we have got cytoskeleton inside the cell. What is the first and third point of peroxisome? Okay. First point, in animal cells, peroxisome are concerned with peroxide metabolism. So wherever hydrogen peroxide will be formed, it has to get broken down into water and oxygen. So peroxisomes are associated with the breaking down of hydrogen peroxide into water and oxygen. Okay. And how this is going to be formed? First 3 points you want. So I already explained the last 2 points. You want the first 3 points. So you want everything again. Okay. So there are different enzymes which are going to cause the oxidation of amino acids. So amino acids are going to be oxidized, leaving a byproduct called as hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide is highly poisonous to our cells. It is toxic. So immediately it has to be broken down into non-toxic form or less toxic form. So the peroxisomes will contain the enzyme which will be called as the catalase enzyme. The catalase enzyme will immediately break the hydrogen peroxide, which is a byproduct of oxidation of amino acids, into water and oxygen. Okay, so this is how the first 3 points have to be remembered. Fine, I think now it's clear. Fine. So now we come to the cytoskeleton. As our body has got the bone skeleton, I think there's some network issue going on at my, but I hope now the things will be better.
Yes, ma'am. There is lot of network issue here
Who's
too.
the host right now?
Arya Khade.
Yeah. Who is the host? Make me the host. Make me the host. Come on. Arya, make me the host, beta, because otherwise I won't be able to share the screen. Arya, you need to click on participants. You need.
Ma'am, now you are the host.
No, Baba. Again, Arya became the host. Between like, ma'am was the host, but somehow it changed again.
Ma'am is disconnected again.
Okay, Arya, have you done that? Yes, beta. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So where are we? Okay. So here I was talking about the cytoskeleton. So cytoskeleton, as I said, that as we have got a skeleton, even the cytoplasm is going to have its own skeleton for rigidity, for support, and for overall shape and structure. So here, the cytoskeleton is a cell is involved in many functions such as mechanical support, motility, maintenance of the shape of the cell, everything. I know. I didn't leave the meeting, but I again got disconnected. So there's a lot of things that's going on today. I don't know what's the problem. Let's quickly go ahead. Anyways, I saw. Okay, fine. So these are fibrous. What are these cytoskeletons actually? So these are fibrous or fine tubular structures which form the supportive structures of the cell. These are of three types: microtubules, microfilaments and intermediate fibers. थ्री आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि हमारे सेल के अंदर जो एक स्केलेटन है वो किसका बना है, तो वो प्रोटीन्स का बना है. और ये कौन से प्रोटीन्स है? दे आर डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ प्रोटीन्स मेकिंग ट्यूब लाइक स्ट्रक्चर्स, फिलामेंट लाइक स्ट्रक्चर्स एंड फाइबर लाइक स्ट्रक्चर्स. ओके, so let us understand each of them. The first I'm going to talk about is the microtubule. Okay, the microtubules are unbranched. You can see the diagram of this microtubule very clearly. Is it showing any branching? No, na? So it's unbranched. So microtubules are unbranched, hollow, non-contractile tubules. Non-contractile is the most important word over here. What do you mean by the word non-contractile? It cannot contract and they are hollow from within. Look at the cross section. You can see the cross section. अंदर कुछ नहीं है, अंदर hollow है और बाहर से ऐसा एक ट्यूब लाइक स्ट्रक्चर है ना? They are of indefinite length depending upon the size of our cells. The length will be dependent on that. So there's no strict rule कि इतना ही उसका length होना चाहिए. The length is indefinite. It's around 25 nanometers in thickness with 15 nanometers core and are formed of 13 helically arranged protofilaments of alpha and beta tubulin. Now here you can see dark brown color and light brown color या फिर skin color जिसको हम कहते हैं, है ना? तो ये देखो, ये अल्फा ट्यूबुलिन है, ये बीटा ट्यूबुलिन है. ये अल्फा बीटा ट्यूबुलिन मिलकर ऐसे 13 प्रोटोफिलामेंट से ये बना है. So you can see like this 1, 2, 3, 4 ऐसे total 13 है. So you can see this entire thing is 13. And how many are there? See 13 alpha with 13 beta. ये ऐसे 13 बने हैं ये join होके. ठीक है. So these are going to be called as protofilaments. So just easily मैं अगर आपको बताऊं so just take a mat and roll it. When you roll a mat, so how will it look like? Something like this. Fine. So how many protofilaments are there in one microtubule? 13 protofilaments are present in one microtubule. Okay. Microtubules grow from nucleating centers. So जो center है nucleus का उधर से generally ये microtubules arise होते हैं. The assembly and disassembly of microtubules require GTP and Ca2 plus. Okay, so you know what is GTP? We have already done in respiration and also requires calcium ions, right? Why do we need alpha and beta tubulin? Because we have to make the protofilaments. If the protofilaments are not made, how will the microtubules will be made? Okay, and also what are these tubulin like? Are they some kind of? They are proteins. Tubulin is a protein. That's what I told you. That all these microtubules, microfilaments, and intermediate fibers all are made up of proteins. So there are different proteins. So microtubules are made up of a protein called as tubulin protein. And tubulin is going to have two components, alpha and beta. Okay. So your microtubules are proteinaceous. The alpha tubulin and the beta tubulin together will make up these protofilaments that will form the microtubule. Okay, fine, understood? Any confusion now? So your entire cytoskeleton is proteinaceous only, but it will be dependent on which protein it is going to be involved in. Accordingly, the names are given. So when the tubulin protein will get involved, we call it as microtubules. When there will be actin and myosin involved, we'll call it as microfilaments. I'll talk about them eventually. ठीक है?
Ma'am,
हाँ.
actually my question was that their names are alpha tubulin and beta tubulin. Are they anyhow related to the alpha and the beta, the names, or they are just given for
No,
the
it's just
distinguish?
just for the sake of, as we say X and Y.
Oh, like that.
It's
Oh,
like that. Okay.
that's
And
what my
fold,
question was.
the fold. It will be having alpha helical fold. It will be having the beta helical. Okay. So it depends on the
Yes, ma'am.
folding, which from my biomolecules may you will come across. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So microtubules grow from the nucleating centers. The assembly and disassembly requires GTP as well as it requires calcium ions. Function, they help in spindle formation, astral ray formation during cell division. They form cytoskeleton of cilia and flagella. So the eukaryotic cilia and eukaryotic flagella will also have these microtubules a part of them. They help in generating the shape, rigidity, and form of the cell. Yes, they give shape and size to the cell. Microtubules help in anaphasic movement of chromosome. We have done cell cycles. You know what is anaphase, and you know how the chromosomes are going to be moved to the respective poles. Microtubules help in intracellular transport of nutrients and inorganic ions. Very important. They are also involved in transport mechanism. Position of future cell plate is determined by microtubules. So where the cell plate has to be formed, where the middle lamella has to be, made, that will be dependent on the position of the microtubules. Fine. So very important part of our microtubules. The second is microfilaments. So another type of
Ma'am,
network will be, yeah.
ma'am, I had a doubt like yesterday only, but I did not like get to ask yesterday. That all these cell organelles and their parts and their subparts, all these get divided during the cell division.
Yes,
Then, how are they divided? Like they are divided in half.
equal,
Then
equal, equal, always equal, always equal. The cell division,
from where
that is
then they
called
are
as
divided?
mitosis. That is called as mitosis, that is equal division. That is what we have seen in cell division chapter, that everything is going to get, the cell organelles are going to get equally divided into two daughter cells. So if they have got 100, it will be 50-50 each. And then they will multiply in those original new daughter cells to become again a parent cell. So that is what we saw in the chapter of cell cycle, na? That we had done, that how the organelles are, actually distributed equally. So the cytoplasm is the medium which will help in their equal distribution.
Yes, ma'am. So the question is that when they are getting distributed equally, actually there is no part of these organelles. The part is all of the centromeres and the chromosomes. Like most part is
It
of
has got
that only.
cytoplasm, no, my dear. Doesn't have the cytoplasm, which should also get equally divided.
Yes, ma'am.
So all these are going to be a part of your cytoplasm.
Oh, during cytokinesis. Oh,
Yeah, during
okay.
cytokinesis. Correct. Perfect.
No, that then where do they disappear? Like during karyokinesis?
They don't disappear. They are going to be there. The only thing is the chromosomes become more visible. They become thicker, shorter, tougher, so they become more visible. And that is the reason, like, when cell division takes place, the predominant structures which are going to be now seen are going to be your chromosomes. Okay. But they all are going to be there. They are going to be there in the cytoplasm, distributed throughout the cytoplasm. Fine.
Yes, ma'am. Now I get it. Thank you.
Yeah, beta. Okay. The second thing that we're going to talk about is the microfilaments. The microfilaments are found in eukaryotic cells. Microfilaments are solid, unbranched, rod-like fibrils of indefinite length. Again, they do not have any definite length. Even they can be, uh, you know, indefinite. These are also unbranched. These are solid, but they are contractile. They can contract. Why can they contract? See, they are mainly composed of globular protein actin, and they also have filamentous protein myosin. So just like our muscle fibers having actin and myosin, even microfilaments are going to have actin and myosin. So microfilaments can contract and expand, which is not a part of your microtubules. Okay, तो माइक्रोट्यूब्यूल जब आप इमेजिन करते हो तो एक स्टील के रॉड के जैसे इमेजिन करना है आपको, ठीक है। और माइक्रोफिलामेंट जब आप इमेजिन करते हो तो एक रबर का स्ट्रैंड या ऐसा आपको इमेजिन करना है जिसको इलास्टिसिटी है। फाइन। The microfilaments form an extensive network in the cytoplasm of the cell and may be associated with the plasma membrane as well. The main function of microfilaments, of course, is to provide support to the plasma membrane. They represent the contractile system of the cell. So contraction जो होता है cells का, it is because of the microfilaments. Rubber like है ना, वो elastic है ना, इसीलिए. They are also involved in cytoplasmic streaming and amoeboid movements. तो अमीबा जब मूव होता है या हमारे WBCs जो होते हैं, they are also amoeboid in nature. So even they can squeeze themselves, they can retract, they can contract, they can become normal. It is because of these microfilaments. They help in pseudopodia formation in amoeba. We know that amoeba is going to have pseudopodia formation, so it requires a lot of elasticity. So because of the actin and myosin, microfilaments are going to impart elasticity. They also help in the formation of cleavage during cell division. So in cytokinases, we have seen in animal cells, there is something called as cleavage or the furrowing that takes place, which is going to be because of microfilaments. So microtubules and microfilaments, out of the three, we have completed the two. The third and the last is going to be your intermediate filaments. Intermediate filaments are again non-contractile, but they are hollow. So they are showing, properties like your microtubules, right? They are non-contractile, they are hollow, but they are made up of acidic proteins. They are involved in the formation of scaffolds for chromatin and in forming a basket around the nucleus. So you know what is the meaning of scaffold? Scaffold का मतलब होता है just like a basket. I mean, not even a basket. Do you play carom? जब हम कैरम खेलते हैं
Yes,
ना,
ma'am.
तो वो जो नेट में चला जाता है ना, वो नेट को कहते हैं स्कैफोल्ड। तो चार कॉर्नर्स पे वो जो सर्कल्स होल्स रहते हैं, उसके नीचे एक स्कैफोल्ड होता है, एक जाली रहती है, एक नेट रहता है क्लॉथ का, है ना, उसको हम कहते हैं स्कैफोल्ड. So these intermediate fibers are actually going to make these type of basket-like or scaffold-like, protective coverings on the nucleus, and also they are involved in cell division also. So what is the function C? Once intermediate filaments are formed, they are stable and usually do not break down. Intermediate filaments provide mechanical strength to the cell and intermediate fibers involved होते हैं. So these three make up the skeleton of our cell. Microtubules, microfilaments, and intermediate fibers. They help in what? They help in cell to cell interactions also and keeping them intact, tightly bound. Is it fine? Have you all followed this very correctly? Any doubts? Any difficulties? Anything that you have not followed?
Ma'am,
Followed this? Yes, yes, go ahead.
can you go to the previous slide once?
Got it? Any
Ma'am,
confusion? Hmm.
um, what like your
Quickly.
microfilaments are solid unbranched rod-like fibrils of infinite length, meaning
They don't have a peculiar length. They can be long, they can be short, they can be very long, they can be very short. Okay? Yeah.
okay,
So
ma'am.
that's all with our cytoskeleton also. Then we have got something called as cilia flagella and centriole and nucleus. So let us quickly go ahead with cilia flagella. Cilia and flagella are hair-like outgrowths of the cell membrane that form the
Ma'am, we can't hear you.
ना मेरा पूरा प्लान
Yeah, anyways, I think we'll stop for today because it's hardly 5 minutes to remain and to complete it. And there's a lot of net issue going on in my area. I need to check on it again. So, anyway, Celia Flagella will continue it in the next class. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So, on Thursday, we'll go ahead with Celia. Fine. Sure. Bye. See you later.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye,
Bye.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, can we leave? Ma'am, can we leave?